drop tonight.
I am 75 years old, and for the last 46 years, I have been either a vegan or a vegetarian. I find the benefits of being a vegan will, over a period of 46 years, I become more and more aware of benefits. Now I am really a kind of strict vegan.
So I've been vegan for the last 18 years, vegan or vegetarian. So I haven't eaten meat for the last 18 years.
So the word of the day is vegan. And a vegan is somebody who chooses not to eat any meat, dairy, eggs, or fish. And again, how is this extreme? How is it extreme not to be drinking the milk of any other species? How is it extreme not to be eating hen periods? How is it extreme to not be participating in a system that unnecessarily kills animals? Your body is like a machine, okay? Think of your body as a machine. You have to put the proper fuels in it to get it to work properly. If you don't put the proper fuels, it ain't gonna work. And if you put fuels that aren't as good quality as others, that will lead to heart disease, cancers, strokes, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It's like if you take a Porsche and you fill it up with diesel, what happens? You just screwed your car up, right? And I guarantee, what are people going to say to you when you say, hey man, I put diesel in my car today? You know what they're going to say to you? I guarantee they're going to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? No offense. When somebody puts a hamburger in their mouth, nobody's saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? Stop! Stop!
This is the misconception that the population have. So let's talk about the vegan diet. So the vegan diet, which is very restricted. So it's no animal product. So no eggs, no meat, no eggs, no butter. So nothing that comes from an animal source. So it's very complete. So if you're asking about all the nutrients that will be lacking, so you find a protein. So this is one of the big questions that people ask, what is the protein? Because people associate meat with a protein, and people forget that there is a protein source in the vegetable. So the vegan diet could be complete with all the nutrients. Only one vitamin, so it's not iron. You can have iron from the vegetable source. There are several vegetables that release the iron in your body. The only vitamin that is missing, it's a vitamin B12. That's the only one that the vegan should supplement, but everything else, it's there.
How many of you were taught as a child you need to eat meat to get protein? How many of you were taught you need to drink cow's milk to get strong bones? Not dog milk, not chimpanzee milk, not elephant milk, not rhino milk, not hippo milk. If you believe that milk does a body good, why would 75% of the human population be lactose intolerant? Do you know what that means? That means 3 out of every 4 people on this planet, when they drink milk, they suffer from one of these symptoms. Diarrhea, stomachache, gassiness, bloated, ear infection, excess mucus. And that's normal. If you suffer from any of these symptoms, stop drinking cow's milk. Your body's trying to talk to you. Your body's saying, look, I can't do it anymore. Stop. Calcium does a body good. The question is this the best source of calcium? Let's find out. Countries that consume the most milk. What countries drink the most milk? US. What is osteoporosis? It's a loss of bone density. It's literally weak bones. Remember what you've been taught. Drink cow's milk, get strong bones. What countries have the highest rate of osteoporosis? All right, well, either it's just a random coincidence or there's more to it. Well, that animal protein, you know, protein is the amino acids, the building blocks of protein. Those amino acids, which are good, unfortunately, though, they're high in sulfur. So you want amino acids, but the problem with animal protein is that those amino acids are high in sulfur. When you put that in your body becomes acidic. You're making your body acidic, and your body's not meant to be acidic. It's meant to be alkaline. right? The pH balance is going lower than what it should be. So how does your body compensate? Well, they have to neutralize the acidity. So what do? They start releasing calcium from the bones. So the more cow's milk you drink, according to these statistics, the weaker your bones can actually become.
There are so many reasons why people should become at least vegetarian. There have been lots of studies, especially the studies done by the Loma Linda University here in California. And those studies show that vegans and vegetarians, they live longer and healthier, especially in terms of cardiovascular disease. So you don't see the same amount of cardiovascular disease that you see in the regular population and you see among vegan vegetarians. And the rates of cancer are much, much smaller than in the general population. So when you talk about inflammation, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancers, and also obesity, the numbers are much smaller among the vegetarians and the vegans.
Just say typical for breakfast, what I have and what I haven't had yet is a smoothie. You put grapefruit juice, spirulina, and by the way, spirulina is very good to counter the radiation that's coming from Fukushima. Tofu, people have been eating tofu for thousands of years. That's a product that is made from beans. And then you have veggie burgers. You can make veggie burgers out of many, many different ingredients, food ingredients that are vegetarian. And what's stable, what's basic, is rice and beans. By combining those two, that helps you get most of the nutrients that you need. Anyone who wants to go and become vegan, it's not that expensive, because when you stop and compare the prices of meat to what you're going to eat if you're just eating a vegetarian diet, it's much, much, much cheaper to be a vegan. And living in California, there's so many vegetables out here that you wouldn't believe it. And that's pretty much year-round. Actually, California produces enough vegetables to feed 1/4 of the people in the United States. That's the level, out here.
To become a vegan is not expensive. If you think of the price of beans, which is protein, is very cheap. And the price of the soy products, which is the alternative to meat, and then the price of tofu is very, very inexpensive in comparison to the meat. What is a little expensive is the vegetables and the fruits. But even though there are ways to go around and find vegetables and fruits here are not so expensive. If you go to farmer's market at the end when they're almost closing, so you're going to find organic produce at a very, very good price.
Oh yes, because you eat that. When you slaughter an animal, that's just a lot of shock and stress. Well, all that goes into the meat. And when you eat it, you take it into your system. And that causes you to be stressed. You get a lot of uric acid from the animals. What that does, that concentrates in your joints. And you've got arthritis, you've got rheumatism. Uric acid turns into crystals. And they're very sharp, and they create intense pain. Well, just by changing your diet, you can eliminate a lot of that. And then you don't have to take so much medication. The medication, it's helpful. It helps, but at the same time, it has an adverse effect on the human being, on the human body. So if you're not eating it, then that's not in your system. What our society does, it gives them a lot of antibiotics. You have young girls, 6, 7 years old, having their menstrual periods because they're giving this to the animals to juice them up, and it just goes right straight through them to the human beings that are eating it.
Maybe it's efficient to show, the slaughtering of the animals because it's very painful. And we don't look at the animal as our pet. So people think that, oh, it's okay to eat meat, to have somebody butchering the cow, and then you can have the meat. But people get really disgusted when they think about their pets being mistreated or being hurt. But that's what we do to the animals.
They both got 2 ears to hear. They both got 2 eyes to see. They both got a heart to beat and a mind to think. And the reason why we would take action for both of them is because we recognize the equality between them and not the difference. Any difference is insignificant. The similarities, though, are striking. I'll put it over a flame. What's his reaction? Same thing. Pull back and scream. You take a pig's leg, put it over a flame. Same reaction. You take a dog, a pig, a cow, a chicken, a goat, a duck, a horse, a rat, a mouse, any animal that's living, put a body part of the flame, they all have the same reaction. You take a fish out of water, and what's their reaction? Start flopping around. Why? They can't breathe.
So they have pain and they have feelings. So, but if people disassociate, the cows and the pigs and the other meat that they eat from their little pets. Yeah, so if it is a very efficient way to show those slaughterhouses to people to convince them to become vegan, I don't know, maybe it is. It's really cruel.
Meat, milk, and eggs come from real animals. They don't just come from the grocery store. And these animals desire to live, and they want to be free of pain and suffering and fear. And on today's farms, these animals only know fear and pain at human hands. They never know human kindness. They never know mercy. And when people buy these products, they are unwittingly supporting that type of cruelty and that type of callousness. The workers, they have to lose part of their heart. They have to shut their eyes to certain aspects of what they're doing. Can you imagine what it would be like to cut the throats of animals for 8 hours a day? It's a bloody, violent job, and nobody should have to do it.
Well, we're animals, and we really slaughter. We are, of the different animals, we are the worst. I say that if an animal is sleeping, another animal will not kill that animal. But man, that animal, he will shoot somebody in his sleep in a minute and not give it a second thought. So there's a lot of room for growth. But we're making progress. That's part of being a human being. We make mistakes. And from our mistakes, we learn, we can correct the mistakes, and move forward.
It is funny. I haven't heard that before. Well, the difference is the animal, they are a very complex animal, just like us. Why? They have a nervous system. They have blood. They have cells, they have brain, right? They have an organism that is very, very close to ours. If you put together, animals and human beings, we are very close. And the plants, they don't have blood. They don't have a nervous system. So they don't feel pain. We feel pain because we have the central nervous system and the brain, everything's connected. And we need to eat, right? So what are you going to eat for survival? So there is a choice. And here on the planet, we do have a choice.
Okay, well, take a look at me. As I told you, I am 75 years old. And this morning I walked. I walked about 3 miles, and it was up hills and down hills. And then walking down the street, I see neighbors that I know who are younger than I am. And I know how they eat. And they really have a lot of physical, mental conditions. Just living in a society, you're going to have mental problems, this period, the stress that we live in. But the diet is a determining factor in the degree to which you will have them. Each person has a path. Each person has a life. And just because you switch your diet over, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to live longer. Chances are likely that you will live longer. Friends that I have that are vegans, I look at them, they look healthier. Generally, they are healthy. They don't get sick as much. And by looking at them, you can see the benefits of pursuing a vegan diet.
In fact, what are the leading causes of death in the United States? What are the top three? Cancer, heart disease, strokes. Diabetes is number 6. All right. Every 40 seconds, somebody suffers a stroke in the United States. All right, that's the American Stroke Association. The American Heart Association says that every 24 seconds, somebody suffers a heart attack in the United States. And the Institute for Cancer Research says that every day, 3,400 people in the United States are diagnosed with cancer. 3,400 people every day, new people. And we're just going down. How is that possible? In fact, is the 68% coming from the image on the right or the left? Right. I mean, you ever heard of somebody suffering a heart attack because they ate too many fruits and vegetables? It's unheard of. A key to a healthy diet is a variety of foods and a variety of colors. How much variety do you really see? In fact, why is this causing most of the death and disease? Because despite what we've been told, despite what we've been taught, we look nothing like omnivores, biologically speaking. We don't look anything like carnivores. We look identical, biologically speaking, to our brother from another mother. You can call it bacon as much as you want, but once it's in your body, it's no longer bacon. It's decomposing flesh. It's bacteria. And it builds up, and they have, by the way, 10 times the amount of hydrochloric acid to break it down. So we don't even have the pH balance of the enzymes to break it down properly. So what happens? It leads to clogged arteries, which leads to heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and obesity. You ever heard of a tiger suffering from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, strokes, obesity? You know why these animals don't suffer from these diseases? Because they eat what's natural to their anatomy. When it comes to diet, we are the dumbest species on this planet.
Well, it's very convenient, right? And it's cheap. Even though it's not healthy, but they don't think about the health right now. What they thinking is about they are hungry and they don't have time to cook. They don't know how to cook. And so they need food, and it is food, even though it's a very bad quality. Some people, they become vegans gradually, right? So they start taking like 1 or 2 days of the week not eating meat, and they progress it to a complete vegan or vegetarian diet. When I became vegetarian, vegan, I became like out of a sudden. I met Frank, and then, Frank showed me what veganism and vegetarianism is. I did a little research. I liked it, what I learned, what being a vegan, vegetarian, the benefits would bring me. So, and then I became vegetarian, vegan. To me, it was very easy. I didn't suffer. I didn't have any addiction to meat. Yeah, but some people, I can say that some people would have, some hard time are becoming vegan, but then they could just wean themselves, slowly from the meat until they get used to it. But yes, you can get used to it. I know, it's a fight, and there's a fight that I have every time that I talk about veganism, or when I teach cooking classes and I don't bring the meat. Yes, these corporations, McDonald's and other fast food chains, they lobby our congressmen heavily. They have money to lobby our lawmakers, and the laws are being made to support them. So I don't see a change in the near future because of the politics behind these fast food chains, and not only the fast food chains, but the meat industry, the dairy industry. So they have a very, very heavy lobby there in Washington, and they are doing the law and pushing the law for us, the Americans. We are here to help people to understand that it's not what they see on the advertisement. That is good, is all good, all happy. So, and we are going to continue to have this fight probably for a long time.
It's education. That's what you're doing. And the more you get into this, the more you find the benefits, of it. See, you have the food industries. They have a vested interest in food. This is how they generate capital. And we live in a capitalistic society, especially here in the United States. This is the headquarters for capitalism. So you produce it and you sell it. Now, once people become educated, they can have an influence if they insist. Just to give you an example, if you're from Europe, if the food is GMO, it must be labeled such. Just say you go to health food stores, and even some of the chain stores, they're growing organic foods. They're staying away from GMOs. So through education, when you educate people and then they demand and they insist and they refuse, they boycott GMOs, as you do in France, that will make the farmers grow what people need. If everyone on the planet ate as much meat as Americans eat, it would take 5 planets to feed everyone. That's unsustainable because we can't produce food like that. The amount of water that it takes to produce a chicken or a pig or a cow or a sheep or a goat, if you are vegan, you are not using as much water. We have water crisis. So it's very important on what we use for the generations that are coming behind us. So just by how we eat, what we eat is very, very crucial. Not what they want. See, through advertising, they want it. But do they need it? No. And my thoughts, my feelings are, it's very important that we help each other. And we do that by the way we produce our food and what we eat. And what else that we must be very, very careful of where we're living, what we're doing on the planet. What recently happened, that was in 2011 at Fukushima, the tsunami. Well, the radiation, as we sit here, it's coming over. It's in the air, it's in the water, and it is in the soil. The currents and the winds come to Washington, Oregon, California, up and down the coast. And then with the rains, with the water, well, that falls all over the planet. And in the 60s and the 70s, we had acid rain, where there was acid in the rain. Now you have radioactive materials in the rain. And who that really affects is the very young and the very old. Actually, it affects everyone. And what it causes tumors and cancers. It affects the thyroid pathogens. So what is good to counter that is the diet that you are pursuing. It's something, the question is, look, this is something we're going to have to live with because it's out there.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know that the Bay Area is very progressive, and especially with the animal rights. So the animal rights is very strong here. So yeah, there are lots of vegan and vegetarian here in the Bay Area.
Okay, let's say about 2.5% of the people in California are vegans. So you got about 1 million vegans in California.
What we have to remember is that just because we have a tradition doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. Tradition and morality are not always the same. I mean, can you think of any traditions that we once had in the United States of America that we no longer have? that today we think back and that was immoral. Slavery, right? Less than 200 years ago. And that was a tradition. So the traditions we have today doesn't necessarily mean they're morally acceptable. And as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions.
And the evolution is picking up. You know, that's what I see. In some ways, it looks like it's regressive. But then, too, you can see where it is progressive. And that is what the vegan society has promoted over the years. That's one of their causes, one of their reasons for being there, is to speed the process up. Well, I'd just like to say I feel well most of the time. I don't get sick that much, colds and things like that. But people my age, you know, they're getting their hips replaced and different joints and things like that. No, that's not part of my world. And over the years, I can see, you know, where people would criticize me for being a vegan, a vegetarian. But what happens is, through interacting with them, you influence them. And in my family, when we go there for a dinner, they make sure to fix dishes that we can eat. And generally, the vegan dishes are the first dishes to go. So I see myself as being an advocate for that way of life because it helps me in my evolution and development. And when you're on the path of life, you run into other people and they influence you. People do not like to be sick. They like to be healthy. Some people do like to be sick. Why? Because they get attention and they bring them things, you know. And they like that. That's one way of getting attention. But the vast majority of people like to be healthy and well.
I think that people should know, you know, the how much the animals suffer, right? And I think that everybody should understand that meat is not the center of the plate anymore. It should not be. And it is possible to live healthy and longer being vegan. And the vegan is not expensive, but it involves cooking and planning, but it's all fun. And I think the price of planning and cooking and doing some organization pays off when you see that you're very healthy. You know, you don't have any disease, you don't have to take any medication. So the price pays off later.
We drop tonight.